And we're live.
Okay, looks like we are live.
Hello, hello. Hello, Hugo.
Hi, Fabrizia. Nice to see you again. Why is this video here on the page? Oh, there it is. Okay.
Nice to see you. Oh, did I need earphones?
No, you're fine.
I'm okay.
You're fine.
Didn't I have earphones last time? Are you sure?
I don't know, but you sound perfect.
Okay.
Can
If
you
it
hear me
doesn't
well?
work, I can run and get them. Okay.
That's good. So I hear some people already joining and starting watching our live streaming. So
Okay.
once again, if everyone who is joining, we just give him a few more people for a bit of a latecomers to join. If you want to put your comment, a little comment on the chat at the forum at the bottom of the page, and so we know who you are, and if you want to say hi, and maybe leave us a comment about what you did in this. What's been a couple of weeks since we, maybe 10 days since we last met. So if anyone wants to leave a comment and say what's
What
how
have
have
you
this
done? What have you done?
yeah, what have you done? What's this how have these 2 weeks been? For me personally, it's been a couple of weeks of travel. Actually gone to Tuscany twice. I've gone 1 weekend in Siena to attend the Siena International Photography Awards ceremony and just meet a few people there. And then the weekend after, actually, it was a long weekend here because we had the All Saints Day, which was Thursday. So I decided to take the Friday off as well and do a 4-day weekend. And I had a couple of friends from Australia. If they're watching this, probably not, because now they're in Rome and they're having fun in Rome. But hi Grace. We toured Tuscany again because they wanted to see it, and then Venice, and now they're in Rome. So it's been quite a lot of time on the road, not much time to work, to write, to do things, but a lot of time to take photos. So I have a card full of photos that I still have to process. So how about you, Fabrizia? What's
Can you send me a link to the comments page, because I don't have that? Do you mind?
sure?
Yeah, I went to Wales. I've never been to Wales. I was invited to talk to a group of photographers. They're like really big studios, and they meet every 3 months, and they invite people to talk about business. So that was really exciting, and it's beautiful. It was a gorgeous weather, gorgeous place on the River Dee, which is fly fishing river.
Cool.
Just fantastic. Cold, but fantastic. So we had a really good time. Lots of mileage. Then I went to Bath. Then I went to Stowe on the Wold. Then I went to Warminster. Then I went back home here. So it's been a lot of miles, but some pictures too. And it's been really interesting. So I'm happy.
Good. So I see that from the comments, Sharon from Cincinnati and Karen from Hilton Head, South Carolina. They've
Ooh,
left comments there.
this
All
is
right. So let's get into this. First of all, I would like to thank everyone who took up our little assignments. One was about the one you gave was about the 101 desires. Writing down wishes and desires in a little notebook. And personally, I had started with that habit a few months ago when you first told me about it. I actually added one more desire
once.
since last time. Just one.
Oh,
Since I went to this,
okay.
the Siena International Photography Awards, I wrote down a desire that I want to win at least one important photography award.
This year, did you put a time on it?
Yeah, or between, let's say, in the next 12 months. Okay.
Yeah, this coming year. Yeah.
It's coming
Good.
year. So maybe for Siena next year. We'll see.
Did anybody else start on the 101 desires? I'd really like to know. I think someone else did, because they put something in there.
Yeah, let me look at
Today.
the group. I saw some people there who might not be online right now because of, I mean,
Yeah,
of course,
exactly.
it's not always easy for everyone to be online at this hour. So we have Martin Vachon from France, who did his little notebook, and we also have who's there? I'm going just scrolling back to Mary Fall Wardell, and Karen again, Raffaella, Fabrizia, you of course. And yeah, that was the people, and I think somebody else. There is no photo of a notebook, but somebody said they were going to do it with an application with software.
Ooh,
Uh,
that's not good.
yeah, and it was
Let's do it with an application.
yeah, and it was
Okay, so
they filled their
to write it on your phone, but it's much
virtual
better
notebook.
to do things by hand. Much better. Writing is important. Anyone online that started it? Anyone online that wants to start it? Any other questions about it? Ask now or hold your peace, because we're going to move on to other things today. But that is, I really encourage you to start. And I'd like to hear some stories. Okay, there's one new comment. I have my book, but haven't written in it yet. Right. Write one desire right now. Just do one. Start it, open it. Just start it. One thing that you want, just write it down right now. So I think the first one's easy. The first few are really easy. It gets funky a little bit later. But if you have any comments, questions about last time, this time, all of that,
Okay,
you can
while
write them
we wait
down.
for people maybe to add some comments, we can start talking about
Yeah.
the topic of today's conversation, today's session, or the
Which
topics of today's session, which
topics?
are
Lots of things today. We're going to talk about. Oh, let me see. I have a list here.
yeah, we have some
We're going to talk
notes.
about
We got to.
technical. We're going to talk about um, visibility. We're going to talk about turning your passion into a job. This is Guy Fawkes, and I just heard fireworks. So if you hear a lot of bombing going on, it's we have this tradition on November 5th. I thought they all did it over the weekend, but somebody is doing it on the night. And I just saw flashing lights and heard a bang.
Right.
So I hope it doesn't get too loud. We're going to talk about your brand. We're going to talk about your visibility. We're going to talk about how to monetize your hobby. So we have quite a lot of interesting topics coming up. Yeah.
Right. So let's talk about skills for a moment, and why we should probably not focus too much on skills per se, because that I see that a lot of people are focused about their photography skills. I mean, in terms of even technical skills, right? Making those damn cameras do what we want, which is important, but that's only the beginning, right?
Yeah. It's focusing on skills and gear. Okay, there's two sides to this. The technical side focuses on gear. There's a lot of geeks, photographers. We're all a bit geeky, so we all like to, it's so easy to get carried away by, wanting this lens, because that lens I can do that with that, and this camera. And I remember when I first got my first full frame camera, it was like, I gotta have a full frame, gotta have a full frame. Now I take photos with wait, bam. Now I take photos with my phone sometimes for some work I do, and it works just as fine. So we start off with a lot of hang-ups about gear, which is fine. We need some basic gear that needs to be a little bit better than average to do the things that want it to do. If we want to have what do you call it, a short depth of field, we need to buy a lens that will do that. And if we don't have that, it's not going to happen. So some things are dependent on gear. But then, is that the way every photo should look? Is that so important? Can't we do, out of all the photos that we can take, how many should have a 2.8 f-stop? And if we don't have that, can we do other photos with a 5.6 that are just as good, if not better, in different situations? Yes, of course we can. So focusing on gear it's fun, and it's a good way to spend your money. It's a good way, there's this saying, teach your kids photography and they'll never go on drugs in their lives, because they won't have the money to do that. It used to be about teach your kids about riding a horse, and it's loving horses, photography, sailing, those are the skiing. Those are the things that if somebody is passionate about that, they'll never have any money to do anything else growing up. So I had all of those, so I was quite safe. But the technical geeky geary thing is one side. The other side is focusing on the technical, figuring out the manual mode, figuring out the golden Bermuda triangle of ISO and f-stops and speed and all that. And what my analogy to that is, when you learn to drive a car, you are very focused on how to, especially, well, in the States, you never have to deal with this, but in Europe, we don't have automatic cars. I mean, we do, but not so easy, not easily come by. So when you take a test, you have to do it with a normal gear stick. So you need to learn how to use your clutch, how to use your brakes and your clutch, how to use your gas and your clutch, how to actually change gears up and down, and look in rear view mirrors, and put your blinkers on, and turn your lights on and your windscreen wipers all at the same time if it's raining and it's night and somebody you need to turn right. All of those things need to happen at the same time. And I remember when I first learned to drive, I was really focused on the inside of the car, on what I was doing. And that meant that it was very hard to pay attention to what was going on outside. So you're not going that fast, and you just chugging along. And that's kind of the same thing. We tend to focus on the camera, on the things, on this. We need to master that in terms of putting all the time in, so that things come a bit easier. But in the end, we want to focus on the outside. Driving is not about changing gears, it's about getting places. And as you do it and you get fluent with it, and then you end up driving for an hour, and you've been thinking about something else, and you don't even know how you got there because it all went so automatically. So that's what we want to get to. And at the beginning it's a little bit tricky, but in the end we want to focus more on everything we talked about these other times, which is what happens in your head, what happens through your eyes, what you see, what you feel, and what story you want to tell, and all of that stuff that is nothing to do with the technical thing. And the photo may be blurry, it may be a little bit shaky, it may be, and still convey really strong emotion, right? Tell me if I'm on the right track.
You're on the right track. And I like your analogy about driving. My personal take on this is that you don't need to be a Lewis Hamilton to be able to drive from A to B. Or to return to photography, you don't need to be a super skilled photographer to be successful, whether commercially or not. You need, of course, skills are important. You need to be good at what you do. You need to know your camera well. You need to know how to operate it. But success can come to people who are not the most skilled, that don't get everything perfect. And I shouldn't just look at my Facebook stream for those kind of things, but I saw a friend who posted a comment today talking about this other photographer, and saying, I didn't realize this photographer, who is very popular. He has a lot of tutorials, he sells tutorials, he does workshop, he has millions of YouTube followers. And he said his photos are pretty bad. And I looked at his photos, and they're not perfect. He does lots of portraits, and the poses sometimes are not the best. The lighting sometimes is not the best. But this photographer is incredibly successful. So you can be successful without being an absolute master, but you still need to have some skills. But the thing I want to underline here is that you should never be envious of people who are able to achieve success even without being the absolute best in their field. Because if you do, one thing, envy is never a good feeling. So put that aside, one thing, and to realize that skills sometimes are not the determinant factor for being successful.
And I want to add something to that about envy and comparison, stuff like that. And I something that I realized just recently. When we do what we love to do, we get lost in it. We it charges us up. I don't know. Tell me if you resonate with this. When I do what I love to do, which for me is taking photos and coaching. So sometimes, and I remember the first time we had this masterclass, that day I was a little bit sick and I really was exhausted. I had a bad night the night before. And when I sat down here, I thought, God, how am I going to do this for an hour? I don't, And by the time we finished, I was so charged up. I was fine. It just, to me, to share, to interact with people, to do these things with you or with my clients or with my groups, it really, really charges me up because it's something that I love to do. It's what I'm meant to do. It's what it's part of me. So when we do what we love to do, we get lost in it and we get energy from it. Even if we're tired, we could do this thing all day and it doesn't really, or we're physically tired, but it doesn't exhaust us. When I do something I don't like to do, I'm exhausted after 10 minutes. I go, oh my God, it's still heavy. So, but if we don't flex those muscles, if we don't do it for a while, then we start getting all like comparing ourselves to others and not feeling good enough and not quite, and losing confidence and all of that stuff. And it happens to me and it happens to a lot of people in this way. And pay attention to it. I don't know if you ever noticed it or if you pay attention to it in the future. If you spend more time doing what you love, the things that really charge you up, you have much less time to feel like less than and envious of people or comparing yourself to others. It does not happen as much. If you don't do it and you're stuck in something else and you can't do what you love, that's when you start looking at others and going like, I'm not good enough. I'm not, even if you're not saying it out loud, it's the voices in your head start going really loud. Does it happen to you?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. So we mentioned the concept of success, whatever that means. It can mean commercial success, but it also can mean just, like I said, I went to Siena to this award ceremony for the awards. And most of the winners there are not professional photographers or not full-time professional photographers. They uh, they want the recognition, the admiration of their peers. That's probably why they do this. So success can take many forms, but I would like to talk about the factors that can lead to be successful, whatever kind of meaning you want to assign to this word success. And I think one important thing is putting yourself out. A few days ago, in between our sessions, I put a link in our Facebook group where I linked to one episode of Seth Godin's Akimbo podcast, which is currently my favorite podcast in the whole world. And people can find it, or just go to akimbo.link. That's akimbo.link, and look for season 3, episode 2. The title of the episode is You're It. And the episode is all about putting yourself out. And as Seth Godin puts it, picking yourself. Why? Because nobody is going to pick you anymore. He tells the story of how Margaret Mitchell, the author of Gone with the Wind, how the novel became so popular and then was made into one of the most popular movies of all the time. And it was because her book was picked by the members of the Book of the Month Club, which was right then in the 1930s. They were the gatekeepers to the book industry. You could be successful if somebody picked you there. And then he also makes the story of tells the story of our Oprah Winfrey with her Book of the Month or whatever it was presentations where she picked an author, and being picked by Oprah means instant popularity. What Seth Godin goes on to say is that you cannot expect people in today's world, though the gatekeepers have left the building. There's no the Book of the Month club is not important anymore. Oprah is not doing her show anymore. Many others have realized that this doesn't work. So the only way to get recognized, to get seen, is to pick yourself, put yourself out. If you want to publish a book, basically his message is, and this applies to photographers as well, if you want to publish a book, don't go to a publisher. Go the self-publishing route. Create your book, even if it's not perfect, put it out on Amazon, and then start promoting it, start contacting people, and basically pick yourself. So, want to add something to this?
Well, all I can say is you need to start promoting stuff even before you do this.
Yeah.
Before you have a book done, start telling the story, and we're going to talk about that later, about what people look at and how to be visible. And if you actually, this is a good analogy, because if you look at there's a my favorite. Just so you talk about your favorite podcast, my favorite blog is by Mark Manson, who is the guy who wrote The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, and he's got this blog that is really good. He writes about humanity. It's nothing to do with photography, but he wrote this book, and he tells the story of how he just started writing blogs and writing content and writing things that people were interested in, and people started following him. And that's how, and eventually this book has been translated now in like a gazillion languages. And he's writing a book with Will Smith at the moment. Is a really interesting project. And it's really exciting to see how somebody who was just stuck at home wanting to follow his passion just made it happen. And this is not a story, it's not a one-off story. So many people have built, and I'm another one. I was at home and I was stuck at home, and I built my work on something that I really loved. So it is possible. You just do it. And sometimes people say, oh, you're so lucky because you travel all the time and you're going to these places and you're so lucky. And I sometimes I do. Come back to them and say, like, I'm not lucky. I made it this way. We can 101 desires. You have an intention and you go and you do it. Stop waiting for things to happen to you. We can make things happen now. We have all this technology and this amazing way to communicate with people, to show our work, to get out there. Even us, we're talking, having a conversation with people, who are interested, who can join us, and we can do things together. I mean, this is mind-blowing. If you think about even just 10, 15 years ago, this stuff did not exist. And we have it. And to me, it's like, we don't have to wait for somebody to pick you. We can just go out and just make it happen. Yeah.
Right. I believe there's never been such a better time. Sorry. There's never been such a good time to be a creative as
Yes,
it is today.
absolutely. And of course, you have a lot more competition because you're not the only photographer in your village. Now you're competing and you're, having to deal with millions of others all over the place. But that's where it comes out. That's where we go back to being yourself, finding a why, being your own style, your own, following what you really want and just being unique, because that is what you're going to build your brand on. And we're going to have a look at that later. I don't think we'll talk about it later. Later. that being visible and building a following is really important, because as we will go on to talk about, I think I may be jumping ahead a little bit, but it kind of goes with it. Monetizing and trying to get your work out there being seen, and whether it's to make money or not to make money, but or, to win an award or to have some recognition from the world, you need to get out there somehow, and now we can.
I'm just going to refer to some of the questions that we receive from our members, asking things how to sell fine art, for instance, sell pictures, to be able to live from photography, to sell fine art photography specifically, to selling yourself as a product. Some people don't like to be in the center of attention and asking for something. That can be a really difficult, but it's something that needs
That
to be
is the
done.
and
Yeah.
it's our battle. Okay, we have to get out there. If you don't get out there, nobody will know you're there. If you don't put your work out there, nobody will know it exists. So, on one hand, we want our work to be recognized, and we want to be praised, and we want to be recognized. Maybe I said win an award or sell your pictures or do whatever it is that you want to do. On the other hand, to get there, you have to get out there, and you're risking, of course, critique and any kind of nastiness that people want to throw at you. So to actually put your pictures out there, I remember the day when I first decided I wanted to start a photography business again, and when I got to Austria, and I made a website, and before I was working in photography, but I wasn't a photographer, and it was a long time ago, and it was in Italy, and it was fashion, it was a completely different thing. Now it was like me alone doing portraits, and I made a website, and I remember the day where I finished the website and I had to click on that scary, horrible publish button where you're like hovering with that mouse and you're going, okay, and then you go back and you look at everything again and you double check, and then you go, I'm gonna sleep on it, and then and then you go like, okay, I gotta do it, and you write publish, and you click on it, and I remember that feeling of it was so scary because I was finally out there. Of course I wasn't, because if you don't tell anybody, who's gonna find you, right? So the next thing was, having gone through the pain of publishing the website, then we have to go and tell people like, I made a website, go and have a look. Oh my god. but we do, and then you go like, what my friends are gonna say? They know me, they know I'm not a photographer. That one, they don't. Some people who don't even know I was years ago, I met them more recently, and in Austria it's all new people, so they didn't know who I was. And so you go like, they're gonna think I'm crazy, they're gonna not take me seriously, they're gonna all those voices in my head.
I
So
think that's called the imposter syndrome.
the imposter syndrome, absolutely. And but at the same time, if you don't do that, who's going to know what you do? And if you don't get out there and show your work, and I've seen so many people just blossom the moment you get this thing out of your head and say, there's only one life, there's only one passion I have, there's only one thing I want to do, and if I perish, I perish. I'm gonna go bloody do it. This thing I had to get over again when I started coaching. I started, finding ways to make money as a photographer, and then people would ask me about it, and in the end, I was spending so much time. I thought, okay, I got to structure this. I got to make this happen. I love doing it. And so, and then I thought, how can I say I do? How can? Okay, what I focus on are results. If I get the results, I can say I do it, and I do it right. And so if that's how I justified it in my head, and that's how it came to pass. And then I just, you building what you want to build. It's scary. It's absolutely scary, but we really need to do it, right?
Right. Let me ask you a question. We said that
Okay, if you can you write and tell us the scary, I'm gonna be seen type of moment that you might have lived in your life, and if you're scared about something that you think you have to do, or that you You know what I'm talking about. I'm rambling, but you know what I'm talking about. Write
Well,
down your scary bits.
let us know your scariest moment.
Yeah, the
You
things
had
we
to
fear now
go
to
in front of
getting
people
out
where
there,
there is to
getting
do well.
visible. Getting visible is really hard.
But getting visible is part of the equation. And we said before that nowadays it's a great time to be a creative, but there's also a ton of people who want to be creative and put themselves out. So how can we stand out from the rest? How can we get our own identity and our own unique vision be visible to others? Is that a matter of branding, maybe?
Yeah, this is my thing that I love to teach. Um, a lot of photographers think that they need to learn about marketing because marketing is the big word. And when you market your work, you're putting it out there, you're communicating what you do, and you are, all that. And then people see it. And if you do good marketing, more people will see it. And then they will want to buy it. And they come to you and they become clients. Either they buy your pictures or buy your service, all of that. And time again, I am asked to come and do a talk about marketing, or that I'm actually referred to as a teacher of marketing, and I'm really like, I do not teach market. Yes, marketing is important. It's about 10% of business, 10%, and only at the beginning and only for a short time, really, because you don't need it all the time. What is really important and that nobody talks about, let alone teach it, let alone do it, is branding. That is the foundation of everything. And branding is not your logo and your colors and your letterhead, whatever. It's not that. Branding is the way people perceive you. And to have a strong brand means to be unique, to be you, to have your style, to all of that. And when somebody sees your brand, and we're not going to go into the branding talk now because it's really long and complicated, but it's just to help us understand. It goes back to what we talked about before about your style in photography and about what Ansel Adams said about you put into your photography everything that all the books you read, all the movies you've seen, all the songs you've sang or you heard, the music and the people you loved. Absolutely. And this the same goes into your brand. Your brand is all about who you are and how people perceive you. So, while marketing is you saying I'm the best and communicating that all over the place, and advertising is just splattering the same message all over the place because you're advertising. And then PR, public relations, is just having your clients refer you or somebody who knows you going like, hey, like she's really good, she's really fantastic. Branding means that somebody sees you, comes to you and says, I know you're the best. You don't even have to. And then those are the clients that you want to market to. Because if you do a lot of marketing and you marketing to the wrong people, you still have clients that A, you don't know what to do with because you don't know how to connect with them. B, you don't know what to sell to them, or you may be selling something to them at the wrong price, at too low. You get the people who want something very cheap, and you're marketing to the wrong people. If your branding is in place, then all your marketing will be based on that and you'll be talking to the right people. All of this is just sort of in a nutshell to say don't focus on marketing because that's not the important bit. Focusing on your style, your brand, your personality, your being you, and everything that we talked about in the past two sessions, that is what builds your brand. And of course, a logo should represent you, your colors should represent you, the visual graphic thing of a website should be like you. But yeah.
So, in a word, can we say that branding is what you do, how you do it, and communicating it to the right people? Call it the right tribe, maybe your tribe.
Branding should be based on why you do things. Because people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. They don't buy, most companies and most people sell something, a what, and then they tell you how. So they sell you like something with bells and whistles and all this technical specs. They're going to tell you that. And then there's a how to it, like we do it this way, we do it that way. This is the service, and this is how we do it. And that's where they stop. And it's the wrong way around. People buy why you do it. When they have a strong connection to why, your values, and they have the same values, it doesn't matter if you're more expensive, and it doesn't matter if you're not perfect. It doesn't matter a whole lot of other things. Your why will determine how you work, and your what is a product of that. I end up, the why I do things is what draws people to me, not necessarily the what I do. Everybody does coaching. Why should they come to me? Because of my why. So it's the same way with photography. My clients as photography, as a photographer, they come to me because there is a connection that is beyond, the photos are, of course they're gonna like them. They're gonna like my style and what I do. But they would come to me or to you because of a connection that goes beyond that. There's an unspoken thing, and that's the same that draws us to certain businesses and not to others, because we feel like that's the thing that resonates with us. Can you write if it happened to you? I was
I'm reading.
I'm just going to read a comment while people maybe write if they get it. If you have any questions, because this is a really fine point, but it's really important.
Yeah, I would like to read Karen's question here. She says, I was nervous when I set up a Fine Art America site for prints and cards. I've had a small amount of success there, mainly family and friends, but unless I continually promote it on Facebook and my blog, I get very little traffic or responses. Not sure if it's worth the effort. Do you have any advice? So I would say that it's a bit hard to give advice without seeing what Karen actually is putting out there or writing on her blog. I think definitely it's worth the effort. It's worth keeping in it, especially if Karen, this is what you love doing. And as Fabrizio was saying, I think your blog can be the instrument, the way that people are able to understand your why, the reason why you take those particular photos with that particular style. It's probably hard on a site like Fine Art America, where you're just there in the middle of a gazillion other people who just show photos and sell prints. You're just one in a million. Whereas on your blog, you probably have more of a way to express yourself and make people understand your why and connect with you. I don't know, Fabrizia, what do you think?
Yeah. Well, two things in this come up to me. One is like your family and friends. Of course, your family and friends support you because they know you. Now, do your clients know you? Are you out there as a person? Is that you coming out in your blogs? I don't know what you write, but is the blog just about the graphic and the card, or is it about the story behind it? What inspired you? I had a dream. I saw this and I put it in a card. This is the story of this card. I wrote today, actually, that it was the anniversary of, Rage Against the Machine made this epic song, and there was something that came up, and there's how this song came about and how it was recorded. To me, the story behind the song is fascinating. It's a song that is, important to me. Whatever, I like it, you don't like it, it doesn't matter. But the thing is, I wrote the post reposting this saying, to me, what's fascinating is the story behind the song, the story behind Hotel California, how it came about. I just went to see Bohemian Rhapsody, and some of the things that were in that movie were like the stories behind these things that happened. And people love the story. We didn't talk about storytelling. I don't know if we talked about it, but anyway, stories are what people are interested in. Your story, your life, your thing. We cannot detach our business, our photography, our work from ourselves. We've got to be all out in there. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And so what I say to you is, stay on the fucking bus, first thing. Don't just get off because, I don't know how long you've been at it. Maybe it's a year or two. Stay on the bloody bus. It takes 3 years for any business to get started. It takes a long time for people to see you and see you. People have to see you 12 times before they buy from you. And they have to see you 12 times in a way that inspires trust and that they think your brand is really important, how you come across. Maybe your stuff is too cheap. Sometimes we put things prices down and it should be more expensive because maybe your quality is higher and you should go out of the shark pool. I can't tell you without saying, but what I mean is think about all of these things have nothing to do with you, but the fact that people have to see you many many times before they buy from you is just a statistic. That's just a given. This is how the market works. So people say, oh, I did a couple of campaigns and nobody contacted me. Do 15 and then tell me about it. Do one every 2 weeks, for a time, and then tell me about it, because otherwise a sporadic kind of flash in the pan is not gonna bring any bacon home. Keep at it. Yes, of course it's worth the effort. If this is what you love to do, it's worth the effort. That's all I can say.
Uh,
But
I would just like to
I get
mention.
excited about people doing stuff. So
I just wanted to. This conversation reminded me of an article written by Kevin Kelly. It's called "1,000 True Fans." It's all about finding your tribe and connecting with them.
yeah,
You don't
building.
need a million followers. You need 1,000 true fans. They will be your advocates. They will promote you. They will love whatever you do. You need to find those people. Essentially,
Yeah,
if you start with feminine friends,
they come. I have a group on Facebook where most of my clients come out of. It's a free group. It's for professional portrait and wedding photographers, so it may not be for all of you, but if you are, then do join us outside the box. And the thing is that there's only like 400 people. There's a group of Italians, it's about 400, and the English group is maybe 200 or 300. They're not huge groups, but these are people that follow me and people that know me, and that's where all my work really comes from. I don't need a group of 10,000 people. I wouldn't know what to say to 10,000 people necessarily. It grows steadily. Every day somebody wants to come in, and so it keeps growing. But I'm not worried about growing the group. I'm worried about taking care of this group and giving, whatever they need. And then people say, yeah, this is cool. I like you. I trust you. I know you now, and I want something more. And then, that's how my work comes about. And the same with my clients. I tend to over deliver, so they're happy. New comments, I'm excited.
yeah, and those 1,000 true fans need to connect with you. So you need to
Question is helpful.
not just put your work out there.
Sorry, didn't
Yeah,
mean.
yeah. I was saying those 2,000 true fans. They need to connect with you. They need to love you, and not just put out your work, but in everything you do, put yourself.
Everything. Sharon Stone says, got a name. Where do you put the blog website so that people find it? With a name like yours, they should find it. You're on page 1 of everything, but
Maybe another Sharon
people
Stone.
will not find you. We are okay. The thing about the internet is that we can now open a shop anywhere we want. We used to have to rent a place and pay for it, and now you can actually have a place for free, the cost of a domain name. And then we can build it any way we like. We brand it, we put our website on it, and then it's out. It's out. Thing is that it can be out on the high street, like in the middle of Monte Napoleone, or it can be like in the back alleyways of Calcutta or somewhere where nobody will ever find it. So it's very. How do you get on Google? People say SEO and all this stuff. This is not about being found through search engine optimization. This is about communicating with the people who follow you. Then they will have your address and they just show up, right? So if you are building a group, you're building a tribe, you're giving out stuff to people that people are interested in. If your message resonates with them, and if your message is true and authentic to you, your people will follow you, will come. They will want to know. They will want to know about you, and they will want to know how you do things and what you do. And when you have something to sell, eventually they will buy it. There is I'm just looking for something. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, this harkens back to what I was saying before with Seth Godin's podcast about picking yourself. Do not wait to be picked by others. But of course, this is all very easy in theory. I mean, I'm not going to say that this is the solution to all those problems. It's difficult to be seen. It's difficult to be found. It's difficult to be recognized. But
And
again, you need to start by being authentic.
yeah, I wouldn't say it's difficult. I would say it takes some time.
Yeah.
And we all want everything now, So, it's I just read something today about the 3 things your audience wants to know. And the 3 things your audience wants to know is, can I trust the messenger? Can I trust this person? So you need to come back to your brand. You need to come across as somebody trustworthy in terms of, like, I know what I'm talking about, I know what I'm doing, I'm good enough, and I'm an expert in my field, at least whether I'm a huge expert or a little expert. As a photographer, even if you're a beginner, you're more of an expert than somebody who never picked up a camera in their life. So let's not compare too much and just take stock of what we have and build on that. Second is, does the message make sense? Is what I'm saying, does it make sense? And the third is, do the message and the values of my message and values, do they align with my audience values? Because that's where the connection is going to happen. If my message and my values don't connect with you, you're not going to like me, you're not going to listen to me, you're going to think I'm just rambling on and rambling on. And if you do, you're going to think, oh, she's really cool, she's saying things that I really kind of make sense, right? Does it sound right to you? Because that's what we need, is for people like us to connect with us. And then we can say, look what I do, which is the same. If you put yourself in somebody else's shoes, if you follow anybody that makes cakes, or I don't know, and it's something that you like the person and you like what they make. When you need a cake, you're going to go there, even if it's across town and not so, and you may have a cake maker down the road, but you don't really like her. Cake's all right. Yeah. You don't have any loyalty to that.
There's a way to make people like you, I think. And it has nothing to do with marketing. It's less to do with marketing than it has to do with networking. And I mean networking in the best possible sense, because people think of networking of going to networking events and shaking hands and giving out
cards. I don't have cards. I went to Vegas at WPP. I'm going like, do you have a card? And I was going, sorry, I don't do cards. Are you on Facebook? Yes, let's connect right now. Yeah. And I would,
To me, networking is, let me put it this way, is not about going to an event or going on Facebook and then I have in mind is the scene. You see the movie? Was that Glengarry Glen Ross with Alec Baldwin that is doing the talk about sales, and he says, "Always be ABC. Sales is all about ABC. Always be closing the sale." I like to change that, to twist it on its head, and say networking is always be giving. You need to meet people with the intention of giving them something. Don't keep a tab. Don't keep a tab. Don't say, I've given you, maybe I've connected you with this person that I know you are interested in, or I've given you a favor, whatever. I'm not doing this and I'm not keeping a tab. I've made you a favor, and then the next thing I will expect you to give a favor to me. No, don't think about it. Don't keep a tab. Keep giving. And eventually you will receive, and people will start liking you. This is how you do proper networking in my view. And so this can be in person, this can be virtual, this can be through hangouts, groups, chats, social media, Twitter, whatever. Always ask yourself, what can I give to this person? Not because I want this person to like me, but just because it's the right thing to do. And in the end, people will start liking you, and they will start asking you, what can I do for you? And this is how you get people to like you and promote you.
Giving you shall be given really works. You give out and it all comes back. It may not come back from the same person, but it comes back in general. If we, I was telling today someone, if you're working out of a place of abundance and you're giving out and not from a place of lack, people really sense it and they appreciate it. And they come back to you and give back to you. So,
let me just add that's a very the first thing that you can do if you want people to find you, and which means sharing your work, maybe sharing your post on Facebook because you want to reach more people. The first thing you need to do is to share other people's content. It takes nothing. It takes a link, and I don't understand why people don't do it all the time. It's absolutely
Yeah, that's the easiest thing.
awesome. Yeah, just start with that. If you want people then to share what you do and get you better known, start sharing their work first
Yeah,
without asking for anything. That's very simple.
yeah, that's true. Absolutely. um, I was looking at any questions. Will you write? Does this make sense? And do you have any other questions that we are? Okay, we have had questions about. We keep talking about the business and monetizing the work. Now, we were saying, Hugo and I were talking about this earlier, and it's about if you. Okay, two things. If you put the pressure of sustaining your life onto your passion, the risk is to kill your passion. So if all photographers start off being professionals or turning into a job because they love photography. Now, I've seen it time and time again that there's two things that happen. One is that the moment you turn your passion into a job, it becomes a business, and if you don't get training on business, it's very difficult to succeed. So you need business training. You're going to be an entrepreneur if you do that, and you need to learn everything that it takes to run a company, because then you're just putting up a company and running a company. And the thing is that photographers are not entrepreneurs, because if they were, they wouldn't be photographers. So there's this dichotomy is really happening all the time. And the other thing is you put the pressure, it's been a hobby, it's been a wonderful thing you do to free your mind and spend time and recharge your batteries, and you go out and you take photos, or whether it's landscape, nature, whatever it is you do. And then the moment you put the pressure of making a living onto this, it can really kill your passion, which is really, really sad. So we don't want that to happen. So how do we not make it happen? We need to be aware when we make that decision. What Hugo says always is like, don't quit your day job. Don't quit your day job. It's like, don't quit your day job until you're ready, until there is, something in place that your photography is working enough for you to not worry about it. So, and that's why it's a rough ride. It is a rough ride.
The main problem is that if you quit your day job and your photography business is not yet self-sustaining, you will end up coming down to compromises. You'll end up doing things that you don't love, and this will kill your passion. And I know a lot of people would like to quit their day job because they hate their boss. Now, what's the problem there? You start being a photographer full-time, and you will be your own boss. You either will be your own boss, and this is the worst boss in the world because you are, or your boss will be the customers. And since you have no choice, I mean, you don't have a job that is sustaining you, is not paying your bills, and you will have to take whatever job, no matter how shitty it is. Sorry for saying shitty, but I know, Fabrizio, with what you said earlier,
I say worse thing.
going to flag this video as R-rated, so I can say shitty.
So sorry. Well, I think we're all adults, and I have a really bad mouth, so I'm actually kind of restraining myself.
I know.
That was the title of a book.
I know. It's okay.
Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. I mean, just what I said. My advice is to you can start building your photography as a side job, but don't go full time into it. At least you have, let's say, at least 6 months of savings in the bank, but it allows you to keep building your business while you don't have to take any damn job that comes your way, no matter how you hate it, because that will kill you.
A year of
Maybe a year.
savings. Yeah. I didn't have it, and it was really tough. But the other thing is, get a business mentor. This is not about
All
me,
right.
but really learn business, because and you can't get it from the internet. On the internet, yes, you can learn everything on the internet, but you need something that's tailored to you, or something that is in your field. So you will save years of heartache and possible failure if you have somebody that can teach you this stuff. And then the other thing is, uh, building your brand around you, and making that your own, personal thing. The stronger that is, the faster you're gonna get there.
Yeah, one thing you said you can do is find a mentor. That's very important. Another thing that I discovered recently, unfortunately, I wish I had known about that before, is to get into a mastermind group. So, mastermind group is a small group of people who share common goals or interests, and they meet regularly to discuss their wins, their plans, to compare solutions, and so on. And it's a very focused, very determined small group of people. It's great if you can meet in person. We do this virtually over the internet, but whenever we can, we meet in person, and that can be an alternative to a mentor, but doesn't substitute a mentor, but it can be really, really helpful. So don't go at it on your own. Whatever you do can be a mastermind, can be a mentor, but don't go at it on your own, because it will be really, really difficult.
Yeah, really difficult. But having said this, there are ways to monetize your hobby. And you, like Karen said, you can make cards. I mean, okay, one is the stock photography option, which I never recommend. You need thousands and thousands of images in stock websites to be able to make any money at all. It takes a very long time to build that. So if you're into that, great. It can be done. Some people make money of it. It takes years, and it takes thousands of images. So the other one is, what we just talked about, selling your images. And you've got to think of this as an artist, as a painter, or an illustrator. You've got to build your name out there, just like an artist would do. If you're a painter, you have to do it the same way. You start off making paintings and selling them for 50 euros, and then that you start getting, you contact magazines to do features on you, blogs that talk about you, and building your, of course, what we just said, building your tribe, building a group, telling your stories, getting people to follow you, and then connect with, make exhibitions, personal projects, social projects, and so that people just getting it visible out there as much as you can, and then maybe finding art galleries who are going to represent you, and doing all that kind of thing. So fine art photography is, when this is more maybe landscapes or nature, or even portraits of certain kinds, but it's sort of fine art photography. That is very, very close to painting, I think. And you need to be, a painter will start and build a name for themselves, and it takes bloody years, but it happens. Keep at it, stay on the bus, all that. Oh, yeah, I said that to that other word, but it wasn't me. It was
It was him.
his name. Yeah. Anyway,
Another possibility,
does it make sense? Yeah.
another avenue that you can try is that of education. And I know many people think, oh, I cannot be an educator in photography because I'm not a master. I don't have 10 years of experience doing things so that I can teach them. Well, the reality is that in order to teach something, you only need to know a bit more than the people who you want to teach.
Yeah.
That's
If you like teaching. A lot of photographers don't like teaching.
yeah, of course. I mean, you need to like teaching, but you don't have to be the absolute master. And again, it all comes down to perfectionism if you want. You need to know more than the people who would buy your courses or your tutorials or whatever. And that is also another great way to put your name out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a
Takes time.
possibility that
Everything
many
needs to take
photographers are, I mean, me included, are doing these days. So just a few suggestions here on what you can do. That doesn't involve being a photographer full time, right? You can do this in your spare time, and I do it in my spare time many days. So that can really work.
Yeah, you're a really good example of that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. But we have a surprise.
Oh, yep. So
And so we're not going to stop now. Okay, we're supposed to sign off, but we're actually a bit late now. But anyway,
yeah,
five
we've been a
minutes.
little bit carried away, but we
Yeah,
love talking
carried
about
away,
those
but it was
topics.
important. Well, write down if you have any other questions, or we may or may not have time for those, but write down if you like this, because we're gonna tell you about something great that we're gonna do. We decided to do something together, and we are inviting you to join us.
Right. Do you
Go
want
on.
to cut it, or do you
I
want
say,
me?
I say, I say, you say.
Excuse
I
me.
say, I say, because okay,
Okay.
this is a place actually by accident, never an accident. It's really close to my heart because I used to go there when I was a child on holiday with my mom, and we are going to have we got Ugo, who's the organizer of all things, fantastic, organized a week, a retreat in Tuscany for a week in an amazing villa. Food is going to be very prominent. Wine is going to be prominent too. So that's all my part of the story.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do the rest. So yeah, we're organizing this retreat. We're calling it the Closing the Gap Retreat because what we want to do is we want to take whatever we've been speaking about, we've been talking and conversing about for these 3 sessions, and maybe there will be another session with if we keep more questions coming. But essentially, we want to really go much more in depth and go face to face, one on one on those topics, and help you close this damn freaking gap, like on a beautiful setting, just not on the internet. Okay, the internet is great. We have live video streaming, and you can ask your questions on our page. But nothing beats being really close together and doing so for a whole week. So we're organizing this retreat. It's going to be in Tuscany. It's going to be in an amazing, awesome private villa. I said I went to Tuscany last week, and the reason why was also to do a little scouting of the location. I've seen it close, and it's amazing. We can host up to 10 or 12 people there. We'll see. It's going to be in May. It's going to be, right now, the dates are May 4 to 11, 2019. So what we are going to go there, we're going to stay there. We're going to talk about photography. We're going to talk about art. We're going to talk maybe a little bit about business as we did today. We are going to talk about life in general.
And superpowers.
And superpowers. There will be a special session. I mean, a special part of the program will be led by Fabrizia. She will talk about the superpowers topic, which has little to do with photography, but a lot with
It's to do with
how can we
everything. Yeah.
how can we put it?
It's to do with everything, life, and all the things we've been talking about. So what that means is that if you come and you're a photographer, that's great. You can do photography with Ugo and I and do the superpowers and everything that we do. And if you have your wife, husband, partner, friend, whatever, someone else who is gonna love Tuscany in May, which is like a fantastic place to be, they can still not just come and hang about doing nothing, but they can do that part of the course that has nothing to do with photography, because that's for everyone. Superpowers are a personal life skills and things that make your life, go better.
go
So
back.
there you go.
But of course, there will be a lot of photography. We will, Tuscany in May is fantastic. I mean, verdant hills with rows of cypress trees and fantastic medieval villages that are still amazingly preserved. So we will do all of that. And we will also savor the pleasures of life because we will have a resident chef who every evening will cook for us meals of the Italian tradition. There will be wine. Of course, if somebody doesn't drink wine, there would be
Other thing.
water, orange juice, Coke, whatever you like. But if you like wine, I mean, we'll be a few kilometers from Montalcino. And if you know Italian wine, somebody knows about Brunello di Montalcino, which is the probably the number one Italian
And
wine.
that's the, anyway, beyond all this, it's like Ugo and I are really good at this. Food and
But
wine.
having
We're
fun.
good at that. So you, the experts, okay, take our word for it. Follow my Facebook. It's all about my Instagram is all about food.
Okay.
So no, it's a really really special thing, and people go on holiday every year. So we figured that maybe some of you might want to take a holiday in Italy, and what better way to do it, and what better way to see one of the most beautiful, absolutely amazing places in the world. So are you
And
excited? I want some messages here. Send me some messages.
and it's going to
I'm very
be
excited about this
quite the
trip.
exclusive event because I mean we have this villa and it's not a big hotel. There's not going to be a conference room where we fit 50 or 100 people. There's going to be 10 to 12 people at most, um, and so it's going to be very intimate. Mm. So we're not going to open this to everyone. What we are going to do is people who want to join will have to send us an application.
Sharon, of course you can come. Why I wish I could come. Stick it in that book, The 101 Desires, put
Number
it in
one,
there. Now
yeah.
you have your first thing, all of you, to write in your 101 Desires little book. And
The thing is that we're going to ask to people to submit an application. We want to know what they're looking for, if they are right fit for this, right? We're not just going to take anyone. But the people who signed up and were active in this masterclass, they've already demonstrated that they want to go beyond the technical, they want to go beyond the gear. They want to know more about themselves. They want to put themselves out, find their own unique vision and style. So, for all the people who are in this masterclass, you get uh, privilege entry without having to demonstrate that you're a right fit for this. So you
then you
get
get a
admission
discount as well.
without gates,
You
without
get
gatekeepers. That's not the only thing. There's going to be a very special offer because this retreat is going to be priced. The base price is going to be, this is for 8 full days, all inclusive in a private villa with a private chef, beautiful setting out there in the Tuscany countryside. The price would normally be €5,000. That is about $5,700, right? Fabrizio, you mentioned also the non-photographer partners. So if you're coming with a significant one, a friend, a partner, or whoever is not really into photography but would like to take part into the superpowers part of the thing and learn all about those life hacking techniques, if you wish, the price for them is €2,900. Okay. Now, we just don't want to give you direct access to this, but we also want to give you a special price. And we're going to give you a discount of €400 on the price of the retreat. So that's going to be only €4,600, or let me translate that to dollars. Where is that? It's about $5,200 as of today's exchange rate. In order to take advantage of this offer, this is a very time limited offer. Basically, it's only going to last for 1 week. Okay, 1 week from today, November 12th, and this is gone, and it's not going to come back. This is only for you, this special discount. But you need to act now. You need to state your interest. in a way, in a very practical way.
In a way, yeah,
Yeah, let
in a
me
safe way. Let's put it.
in a way, but we realize that, of course, I mean, we're asking you to say, oh, I want to come. Most workshops and retreats and tours and so on will say, well, you want to come and you want to do like an early booking price, you give us a deposit that is typically non-refundable. And it's going to be like 25, 30, or even 40% of the total price. We realize that asking you to commit to something like this is not something that you would just decide on the spot, right? It's not going to be an impulse buy. You need to think about it. But we still want to give you an option of saying, yeah, I'm really interested in it. Please hold my spot. And you can do this by giving us a very small initial deposit. It's only going to be 200 euros. That's about $225. And it is fully refundable, right? So what happens is that you say, I want in, but I want 1 week to think about it. But please keep my spot. I'll think about it for 1 week. And then after 1 week, I will make up my mind and decide, yes, I want to come. Then you're in. Normal process. We fix the dates. You send us a deposit and you're in with the discount.
But they have a month, right? After that week.
After that, they have a month. But if you decide, I don't want to, I don't want to decide right now, right? Sorry, you said right. It's a month. So you don't have a week. You have a month to make up your
with
mind.
the discount, and then you have a month
Exactly.
to decide for sure or to ask for a refund. So to either confirm it and pay the rest of the deposit, or however there will be payments and stuff, or to say, oh, sorry, I got carried away. No, it won't be long. Just like 5 minutes.
That's real. That's live.
Real life. Okay, I told them at 7 I'd be cooking, and so I gotta go. But yeah, so you can say, yeah, I want a spot now. Okay, this is it. $200, whatever it is, and then you can say, you have a month to think about it. Think about the flights, the logistics, if you can leave your babies with your nanny, if you have your dogs, your plants, all of that other stuff, and who wants to come with you and all that kind of stuff. And then you can say, yes, I can do it, or no, really, I can't do it. And we will just refund you deposit and no questions asked, no problem.
So it's totally risk-free.
You secure your discount and your spot, because there's only 10 places. So we need to know as soon as possible who's going to be in there. If it all comes from the Masterclass group, that's it. It'll never go public. It's just us, which would be amazing. Yeah. So otherwise, next week, we're going to send it out. It's going to be more expensive for other people, but they will allow others to come in.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to reiterate the fact that signing up at this point for the discounted thing is totally risk-free, because if you decide not to come, we'll refund your very small deposit, and you have a month to think about it, right? So not a week, a month. Okay. But this offer only lasts for a week, so you need to put your deposit in before November 12th. I'm just going
get
to
a link. Now,
yeah, I'm just going to give a link.
Read everything, see the pictures of this place, and I mean, come on, this is like.
I'm just going to do a very high tech way of giving out the link.
You can say, yeah, that's fantastic, and you can. We'll get an email. I think. I'll put it in the Closing the Gap group and things, so you get an email. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll email.
Click on it. Don't miss it. And if you're slightly in the least bit excited about this, sign up.
Yep. Or send us questions. I know it's
questions. There's no questions.
The whole thing. We have tried to put all the possible details on the page.
On the same dates. We'll change dates for you.
Let them wed on marry on another day. But again, if you have any questions, you know where we can find us. So try to put all the possible details on the page there.
Yeah, and if you have questions, you can put them in the Facebook group, or you can contact me directly or go directly on Facebook, ask to be friends, say that you're from here. If I don't know you, because I sometimes don't accept everybody if we don't have friends in common, but write to us, and I'd be really pleased to explain more about what we do. If you have any, whatever, we want to be friends, right?
Right.
Right. I
Okay.
gotta go and cook for my mommy.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I have to cook dinner or just eat it. I don't know what's going to
It's
happen.
important. Yeah,
That's very important.
yeah, food is important. So
So,
thanks for following us. And yeah, maybe we'll do another one if you have questions. But anyway, thanks for following us, and we will be back. And I hope to see you in May.
yeah, we hope to see you in May. It's going to be really fun and amazing. Really looking forward to it. Again, thanks for following us. Send us your question, your questions, your comments, and we'll answer every single one of them
Yeah.
for sure.
Okay. Good.
All right.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone. Take care and
Fun.
close the gap.
Close the gap.